In the room, come on in the room. The Bucks lose it tonight, only by 3. Shorthanded to the Boston Celtics, 122-119. Ended up being a thriller at the Boston Garden. Come on in the room. Doc is our doctor. He writes out all those rooms. He gives us our medicine in our room. We are live at the Cream City crossover. The Guru, Trey Crosby III.
JT.
Chris King.
Yeah, in the building. Everybody back in the building. Boston and the Bucks tonight squared off 122-119. No Giannis. He wasn't playing before the game. We all knew it. The spread was 11.5. And what do we all know? Good teams win, but what do great teams do?
Cover.
They cover. And the Boston Celtics didn't cover tonight. The Boston Celtics, let me just start this off like this. I'm going to start this off like this. I have zero fear of the Boston Celtics. I saw Boston tonight. That's a flawed basketball team. And if you're a Boston Celtics fan right now, you should be shaking in your boots by what you saw from Boston tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I'm sure the Boston Celtics faithful will come out here and they'll try to pretend like, oh, yeah, we beat the Bucks. Look what we did. No, there's no way. There is no way if we had some truth serum, if there was a lie detector test, survey said, that's a lie. Because there's no way they feel good about what just happened right now against the Milwaukee Bucks. There's no way. There's no way. 36-21 in the fourth quarter, the Milwaukee Bucks come back and basically make this a game. Could have won that basketball game. They were playing. Only reason they lost, 2 reasons the Milwaukee Bucks lost the game. And then we'll get to the game recap. 2 reasons. 1, Doc Rivers played Danilo Gallinari too many minutes. And 2, the Bucks played at times like Antonio Brown's Twitter account, CTESPN. Right? They did that little CTE ball. But that's it. That's it. I'm not afraid. Bring 34 back, and the Bucks will be okay. 122-119. Get at us on the Twitter at TCIIIESQ. Or in the YouTube chat as well. We will take all your comments and everything after the Bucks lose 122-119. Tell me how you feel. How do you feel out there if you're a Bucks fan? To me, I'm energized. Ring the bell. I'm up. I am energized about this basketball team tonight. But we got to do this thing. We start this thing out like we always do with a little game recap, sponsored, as always, by the law office of Daly M. Johnson. We need defense where?
Off the court.
Off the court, you need a little defense. The law office of Daly M. Johnson providing the following legal services: criminal defense, traffic, OWI defense, temporary restraining orders and injunctions. Call my guy, law office of Daly M. Johnson, 608-893-8370. There we go. Serving Central and South Central Wisconsin. Go to his website, www.dmjlaw.com. Sign up for free phone or in-person consultation. Again, sponsoring the game recap. Law Office of Daly M. Johnson. The game recap, 122-119. Boston wins the game. They do win the game. It's okay. No Giannis. Damian Lillard, 32-6-4. 11-21 from the field, 6-10 for 3, 4 from the line. He does have 4 turnovers, but he was a +1 on the night. Damian Lillard, excellent job. He had a rough first half. Rough first quarter, didn't really get into a rhythm of anything. And then in that second half, Damian Lillard was unconscious basically as soon as he came out. He came out at half, firing away, hitting shots. He hit threes when he came in the fourth quarter as well. Did a lot of really good things, moved the ball like we wanted to see. Again, he had 6 assists. I thought, Damian Lillard, here's what I've now figured out about Damian Lillard, what we should know about Damian. Damian Lillard still has it. Let's not mince any words or make any mistakes. Damian Lillard still has it. He is still a very good basketball player. He is still a player that can play at a top 75 level. He's got to find a way to coexist with Giannis on the floor, because we now have seen it time after time. I've seen enough. The sample size is enough. I know Giannis only missed 4 or 5 games for the whole season, but the sample size is enough now to where I know that Damian Lillard. Oh, you all right? Oh, don't hurt yourself now. Damian Lillard by himself, or basically the Portland version of Damian Lillard, he is still him. 32-6-4. I like it. Malik Beasley, 6.6 rebounds, 2 of 8 from the field. Did hit a couple clutch big time threes, but he was off a bit tonight. Brook Lopez, It was rough for long stretches of the game. 8 points, four assists tonight. 2 of 5 from the field, 2 blocks, 2 of 4 from 3. I mean, again, he plays like he's a guard he's a 7-3 guard out there for all intents and purposes. Only gets 21 minutes tonight. So Doc Rivers has shown that he is not afraid to take Brook Lopez out of the lineup. I think that's a thing that we should put in our memory banks and remember as the playoffs go on and as we look at matchups throughout the rest of the year and into the playoffs. Doc Rivers is okay with sitting Brook Lopez. And Brook had some trouble with Kristaps Porzingis tonight. Jay Crowder, 7 points. I thought he was okay. He was okay tonight, 3 of 5. He only played 14 minutes. Chris Middleton. Hey, Chris is back. 22, 6 and 6. Chris is back. 8 of 11 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. He was back and in a big time way. He was good tonight for the Bucks. Bobby Portis. First half was CT ESPN Bobby, but the second half in the fourth quarter in particular, Bobby Portis was lights out. I mean, he was on a heater tonight in the fourth quarter. He had 14 of his 24 and 15, 11 of 20 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. He hit shots in the fourth quarter all night long. Bobby Portis played 33 minutes. Again, and I was talking a little junk about him early in the game. But that second half in the fourth quarter in particular, Bobby Portis was phenomenal. Lights out. Pat Connaughton had an okay game, 7 points, 5 boards. Patrick Beverley was big early with 9 points. Danilo Gallinari was running around, had 4 points and doing whatever the hell he does. AJ Green doesn't score, but again, only 8 minutes for AJ Green. But here's the big difference for me. Danilo Gallinari in his 18 minutes, was a -8. AJ Green in 8 minutes was a +14. So I think that's part of where you lost the game. Those Danilo Gallinari minutes, they don't make any sense to me. Jason Tatum had 31, 8 and 4. He's getting the MVP chance. He had 23 in the first half. It took him well into the fourth quarter before he even scored again. So the Bucks did a really good job of shutting him down most of the second half. But Jason Tatum, again, I have my issues with Jason Tatum. Again, young player, though. Kristaps Porzingis, 17 points on 16 shots. I think the Bucks did as good a job as they could on Kristaps. Jaylen Brown with 21. Derek Wright. The other two guys that are really killers for the Milwaukee Bucks tonight were Derek White with 23, 5, and 8. He had some timely 3 balls, 8 of 17, 4 of 11 from 3. And then Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard just absolutely negated a lot of the things from the bench, from the Bucks bench that they did well. Peyton Pritchard with 19, basically, almost matching Bobby Portis' 24. Peyton Pritchard was good all night, 19.6 boards, 3 assists, 7 of 11 and 5 for 8 from 3, 122, 119. And so I started like this, and then we get your thoughts here. Again, this was a very weird game. We talked about this before we started the show, JT, Chris. A weird game. The Bucks should have lost by 20, 25 points. Boston did a great job of answering and responding for 3 quarters. Every time the Bucks got this thing close, Boston answered, responded every single time, whether it was a 3 from Derek White, whether it was a 3 from Al Horford, whether it was a big time bucket from Porzingis, whether it was Jaylen Brown, whether it was Tatum, whether it was Peyton Pritchard. They responded every single time the Bucks made runs until the fourth. And the Boston Celtics, they are true front runners in every sense of the word. I'm not taking this back. I've seen enough now out of Boston. Can they beat the Milwaukee Bucks in series? Absolutely. I'm not saying they can't, but they are front runners. And I'm telling you, get the Boston Celtics into a series, and if you can get them late in game situations, they fall apart every single time. I don't care what the numbers say. The eye test tells it to me every single time they start to fall apart in the clutch. Again, the Boston Celtics should have won this game by 20, 25 points. There's no way around it. Allowing the Bucks to get back into this game. And again, their philosophy all game long, we shoot threes all night long. That's the whole Boston philosophy. And in the fourth quarter, I'm not surprised they only put up 21 points and allowed the Bucks to get back into the basketball game. So again, kudos to the Bucks for fighting, staying in it. I think there are a few things the Bucks could have done a little bit better to make sure, or to get them to put themselves in a better position to get a win tonight. They don't do it, but I think you come away from this, and again, what do we say? Is there's no moral victories, right? In the majors, right? We major, we're not minor. Moral victories are from minor league coaches. That's what the great Kanye West once said. But again, I'm okay with this tonight and how the Bucks finished up 122, 119. That's what I saw, JT. What'd you say?
Yeah, listen, the first thing I'm going to start out with is I'm going to tell you, as a Bucks fan, these boys kept fighting tonight, and I absolutely love it. And I agree with your take about Boston being a front-runner team, right? It's a little bit like, in football terms, like Dak Prescott, right? When things are going well, they look tremendous. They look incredible. But when you really need them to dig deep and they got to start fighting back to try to win something, it's not going to happen. And you saw that tonight, right? They had a chance to knock the Bucks out. They were up 21 at some point, and they couldn't do it. Not so much because Boston couldn't finish. It was more because the Bucks kept fighting, or at least that's the narrative I'm gonna tell. The Bucks kept fighting. The Bucks kept pounding. They kept scraping and clawing. What Dan Campbell tell you? They biting kneecaps out there, right? And so I saw this gritty Bucks team show up to compete, despite the fact that they didn't have their horse. They didn't have a lead horse. They didn't have a quarter horse. They didn't have Giannis out there. And if you're the Boston Celtics, you can't feel good about this win. You 100% can't feel good about this win. The Bucks are breathing down your neck the whole time, and they knew they were shorthanded. And it ain't no way that, all things considered, Giannis plays that Boston wins this game. Now, having said that, there's a few things, there's some anomalies about this game when we dig into the numbers a little bit deeper, right? Because by looking at the numbers, the Bucks kind of outplayed the Celtics here. And here's what I mean by that. The Bucks shot 53% from the field. 53% from the field. Celtics shot 47%. Bucks shot 48% from three. Celtics shot 45%. The Celtics made one more three than the Bucks did. Now, the biggest disparity, you talked about the free throws. The Bucks were 12 for 14 tonight. The Celtics were 24 for 29, right? So if you do that math, the Celtics made 2 times the amount of free throws the Bucks made, and they attempted 2 times the amount of free throws that the Bucks attempted. So think about it like this. I don't want to blame anything on the refs and the whistle, but I will say Boston got a much more favorable whistle than Milwaukee did tonight, right? Kind of the story of our lives here with this team. Now, talking about the game breakdown of the player. First off, Damian Lillard. Man, Damian Lillard was exactly what we needed tonight. 19 points in that second half and took over and was balling, right? Bobby Portis, BP. Like I told y'all on Sunday, he was spraying that premium gas. He's spraying it tonight too. 2 points in that first half, comes out and has 22 points in the second half. We talked about 14 in that fourth quarter, right? And again, Chris Middleton. We were worried. We thought there would be some noticeable rust, some conditioning, some issues. But again, most important thing tonight, Chris Middleton played 33 minutes. Well, he played 26 minutes against the Suns, 26 to 28 minutes against the Suns as well. So he looks like he is back. He looks like he's finding his way in this rotation. I heard during the press conference, during the broadcast tonight, that Giannis, Chris, and Dame haven't played together since February 9th. Is that right?
You hear him? I don't hear him.
They've only played 3 games. They've only played 3 games under Doc Rivers. Sorry, I was on mute. They've only played 3 games together under Doc Rivers. Yeah,
so they've only played 3 games together under Doc Rivers, right? And so it does give you a little bit of you can see how much better this team can get. And like Doc said, he's still figuring Chris out, right? But I don't know about you guys. I'm really am I ever motivated or moved by a loss? But tonight, right, especially looking at the way everybody showed up on this team, nobody played bad. Look at the stats. Look at the numbers. Nobody shot a tour date. Nobody stunk it up. Gallinari did some cardio out there. And I'm not sure why he played 19 minutes and AJ Green played 8. Quite honestly, I feel like he flipped those two. You might be working with something. AJ Green plays 19. Gallinari plays 8. But okay, fine. But nobody played bad. They showed up. They were on the road, and they competed. And if you're a Bucks fan, I'm happy about this, right? You're never happy about a loss, right? But I'm happy to see the team show up and fight, especially knowing that Giannis was out.
Yeah, I think there's some good things, good takeaways from this game. There's also some bad. I'll start with in the middle with Doc Rivers. I think playing Gallinari way too much after just giving him a DNP is just outrageous. I don't get the logic behind that, if there's any. But I also think we saw him progress a little bit as a coach down the stretch. You saw him put in Pat Beverly for a defensive possession and then take him out and put Dame back in for the offensive possession. We saw that bite them in the butt versus the Lakers, and I think he's learned from his mistakes, and that's what you want to see out of a head coach. The bad, look, this team put itself into too many situations where you're down double digits, and then you tried to come back, and you just didn't value the possession of the ball. I think you were down 12 at one point in the third quarter, felt like you were coming back, and then Bobby comes down and goes one and done with a black hole situation once again. And then after that, Boston gets the rebound, calls a timeout, and they hit 2 threes in a row. Now it's like, all right, how could we have won this game if we don't do that? If we actually get some offense going on that very possession. So yeah, you got to value the possession a little more. And I would like to see this team step up in moments where you need shots to go down. Malik Beasley did not do a good job of that tonight. I think he had some open ones when they were on those runs and just didn't hit them. And that was the story of the game until the end. And then they just, like they say all the time, they ran out of time in this one. Like the Bucks would have won if there was more time on the clock, but there wasn't. They dug themselves too deep into a big hole multiple times, and then just didn't have it. Just couldn't get the win. But I am encouraged by this game, right? Like we saw Dame stay aggressive, get to the rim. We saw him knock down his shots, and Chris, man, I've got to shout out Chris Middleton because, we were skeptical about whether he would be at the same level as we know he can play coming off that injury. And then it's just like he comes into this lineup after missing a ton of games and just does what he does. He knocks down shots for this team. He's another option for us to go to just get a bucket. And I think that's really what this Bucks team needed when he was out. So, yeah, it was good. It was good stuff. But, you kind of wish you could have got this dub.
Yeah, no, you definitely wish you win the game. You want to win these games. You want to win all the games. You go out and play. But again, Boston, at the end of the day, they're a very good basketball team. There's no question about it. There's a reason they're 55 and 14 on the year. And they showed some of that tonight. And again, I think when you talk about like valuing those possessions, Chris, and what you have to do when you're playing, especially when you're playing a team like the Boston Celtics, right? They can turn it up on you so quick because they shoot the threes so well, because they do some of the little things so, and because there's so much firepower. I mean, coming from all over the place, like every position that they have, there's firepower everywhere. Like Derek White is hitting. He's not really he's a guy you can count on everybody to do the things that you expect for them to do at a lot of different times. So in the Bucks, sometimes you can't. Like sometimes Jay Crowder's good, sometimes Jay Crowder's bad. Sometimes Bobby Portis is good. Sometimes, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the bell. Sometimes Bobby Portis is good. Sometimes Bobby Portis is bad. Sometimes Damian Lillard is playing like he played tonight. Sometimes he's not. And you're right, Chris. You have to. Every possession has to be valued. I think hopefully in the playoffs, I think usually you do that. Hopefully that will happen. But not only does every possession have to be valued, but yeah, you just can't go through 2, 3, 4 minutes of lulls or 2, 3 minutes of bad play, because Boston will make you pay for it every single time. But again, but that is again part of the Boston Celtics MO is keep yourself in the game long enough, and they will fall apart in the fourth quarter. They just will. They do it all the time, and it happened again tonight. And if you can get yourself in a position to where you're playing well down the stretch, again, Giannis and Dame, they've got to figure this thing out. Like that to me is the biggest part. Giannis and Dame has to figure out how to be this aggressive, how to score like this, how to play like this while Giannis is on the floor. Like I to me, he gets some of the same looks. He hit some of these shots in isolation, one-on-one ball. Like, it's not like, oh, I have to score every time off of a screen. Did he score sometimes off a screen? Did he hit some threes off some Brook Lopez screens? And Bobby Portis? Absolutely. And some dribble hand? Absolutely. But he hit 3 or 4 tough buckets just in isolation, one-on-one, step back over some. He had a step back over Jason Tatum. He had step backs over Jaylen Brown. Like, he can do that too. And those are the possessions where you've got to hit those even when Giannis is on the floor. No, there's just no way around it. But again, if you're getting this Damian Lillard, man, the Bucks are going to be an extremely tough out. Again, I'll take our chances against Boston all the time.
I 100% would agree. 100% would agree with that. Now, here's the thing, though, about Dame, right? Some of this was learning how to play with, but some of this was Dame. When I said this a couple weeks ago, it was fighting him. It was fighting against his instincts, right? And I think he's still learning how to play with Giannis. But I don't see Dame over these last few weeks. I don't see him fighting his instincts as much anymore. So I do think we got to give him some credit there, right? Now, having said that, yeah, him and Giannis got to get this thing clicking, and we've seen glimpses of it over these past few games. And honestly, man, you're right. The league better watch out when they start rolling and you incorporating Chris in there. Yeah. I think our offensive fire. Yeah, the rest of the league, man, that's gonna be a rough night for anybody if those three start clicking.
So what's also interesting for me was just the fact that Bobby did hold his own out there when they went small, and you got to imagine when Giannis comes back. Obviously, Kristaps maybe doesn't get that offensive rebound down the stretch. He did his thing, and it gives me the optimism to when you give Giannis the minutes and he comes back, that you have a 6'10" guy in there who can still try to get those rebounds. And this game's a totally different ball game down the stretch. Not only just down the stretch, but just in general. Obviously, we know this would have been a different game with him, but it's just those instances where I think we're just so much better with Giannis and these two guards, Chris and Dame, playing at their best. Like, this is going to be a dangerous team. And, yeah, I just think that Bobby showed a lot being out there and being able to hold his own with Kristaps.
Yeah, no, he absolutely did. He did hold his own. He showed some of that firepower that we talked about. And then, like I said, in the fourth quarter, he just went crazy. But again, and you talked about Brook Lopez tonight. Defensively, again, they're just going to be series where Brook Lopez cannot play, where Brook Lopez cannot be on the floor. And again, Kristaps Porzingis is just a little bit too fast, a little bit too twitchy, a little bit. He just has a little bit too much for a guy like Brook Lopez. It just gets tough on him, right? And so I guess that's what I'm looking for when I look at Brook and the matchups he's going to be able to play in. It's just limited, and sometimes that scares me just ever so much. That scares me about Brook Lopez being in the lineup and what he brings to you, because defensively he was rough, getting rebounds rough. A lot of just rough, and then offensively, he's playing like a guard out there instead of getting down to. There was only like one possession I saw where Brook Lopez really gets down in the paint, and I think he got down to get him the ball, and he gets a layup, or at least gets fouled and goes to the line. Like, you've got to take advantage of mismatches, and for whatever reason, the Bucks did not. And again, this game was lost throughout it. Instead of, I know we talk about all times late game situations and how you play when the game's on the line. But you can, and we talk about officiating late, but you can absolutely lose games because you didn't play well throughout the game. That's what happened tonight. The Bucks just did not play well throughout large portions of the game, but they still kept themselves in position. And again, I got to give the Bucks a lot of credit. I got to give Doc Rivers a lot of credit, Damian Lillard a lot of credit, Bobby a lot of credit. All these guys had to get a lot of credit because again, you could have let go of the rope. Down 15, no Giannis. You could have easily let go of the rope. And again, it was multiple times. It wasn't like you got down 15 and you got down 15, you brought it back, and they ran it right back up, and you kept it. You held on to the rope until the very end. So again, just a real nice performance from the Bucks there.
Yeah, they did a good job of just making sure that they could at least try to make this a game and stay in the game. It gives you the optimism that this team can perform in clutch moments and down stretches. And we have the shooters, I will say. I think these guys rise to the occasion at the right time. It's just obviously you didn't have your 1A, so you take – what do you say? You take the gritty with the pretty, or
Hey, man, right? You 100% have to, right? This was a gritty loss, but I just love the fact that they kept fighting, and they just kept fighting. Dame hitting that huge 3-pointer with about a minute left to go in this thing, right? Short enough. They just kept fighting, and yeah, if I'm Boston, I don't feel good about a 7-game series at all. I don't, right? Because think about how these games have gone. The first one, Boston had a decent win against the Bucks, right? The second one, Boston quit. Boston at halftime, they took their jerseys off underneath their shirts. They just they tucked their tails and ran for the hills, waved a white flag, and the Bucks beat them by damn near 40 points. Then of course you see this game here, and again, without Giannis, for the Bucks to take them to the absolute brink like this and actually expose the flaws in this Boston team, like Trey said, they're only front runners. You stay in the race long enough, they're likely to fold. So, yeah, I'm proud of this Bucks team tonight, man. This is exactly what we said we wanted to see on Monday too.
Let's get into some of the comments here. Mario Luna says we beat the team convincingly in a 7-game series, win by 3 without 34. Bucks whooping them in 5. I'm not going that far. I can't go with that. That you're whooping them in 5. That seems a little tough. Bianca Collins says I think we beat them in the playoffs. Honestly, Boston isn't. Eric L says Boston isn't instilling any fear in me, man. 3-point merchants, playoff ball, gonna burn them. Shahev says, great game, Bucks in 6. Brenda Word says, Lopez is too big not to rebound. If he's not a rebounder, then what is he? I agree with that 100%. Young City says, if Giannis played, this would have been a blowout. He's also says Malik Beasley was trash on defense. Malik Beasley did get torched a little bit on the defensive end, 100%. He just had he had some problems defensively trying to stay in front of Tatum. But again, that's a very tough cover. It's a very tough cover for Beasley, and I did think he had some problems throughout the game. But again, I like I said, overall, I'm okay with it, and the effort and everything that the Milwaukee Bucks gave. I want to ask you guys, so again, we're kind of stay on that track, and I mentioned it before. Do the Boston Celtics? You've seen them a couple times now. Do they instill any fear in you as a basketball? If you're the Milwaukee Bucks, do you fear? Because I think a lot of teams fear the Boston Celtics because they're blowing everybody out. They're going about for every night. They're just killing. Do you have any fear in what you see when in a matchup with the Boston Celtics right now?
Absolutely not. We ain't scared of Boston. We weren't scared. We were never scared of Boston, period. But listen, Boston has all this stuff. Some of it was on paper, yes. Some of it's coming to fruition. They've won 55 games or 56 games. I get it, right? But at this point, absolutely not. I 100% as a Bucks fan have zero fear. I think at this point, we play our game. Bucks play Bucks basketball. I think they beat the Celtics. I 100% think they do, right? And I think that especially if it comes down to it and it's close, the clutch players that you have, I think the coaching advantage, I think the experienced seasoned vets that the Bucks have versus the Celtics, we ain't scared. There's no reason to be scared.
Yeah, I don't think I'm that scared of Boston. Trey, just hold on. Yeah, I'm not scared of Boston. You know why? Because I just think that their guys are soft. I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they really don't know which one works best off of each other. I still think they've been trying to figure that out for years. And I think when you really get aggressive with them, when you force them to take tough shots and you apply pressure, look, we went out, got Pat Bev for that reason. The role guys, they're good, but they're not really guys who can do stuff like our Bucks role guys can do in terms of Bobby Portis coming off the bench, giving you 30. If it's AJ Green coming off the bench, hitting 3 threes in a row. It's like I'm just very unimpressed with that squad, to be honest. And I just don't think that they're a team that is going to have that grit that the Bucks do have now after obviously getting Pat Bev and then just instilling the two-man game with Giannis and Dame. If that gets better, and then when Giannis comes back in to the lineup here soon, then I think it's going to be good. So, yeah, I'm not that scared of them. I think their two guys are – I don't know if they complement each other as well as Boston thought that they would. And, they're sticking with it, but I'm not that impressed.
I would agree. And again, we talk about this as well. One thing this Bucks team has been through is adversity this year. They've been through almost as much adversity as any team in history, right? When you think about the changing of the coach midseason and how that went with guys being hurt, guys being out, complaining about one of your stars, lack of better terms, being quasi-depressed, all kind of stuff going on. And you watch this team come out and battle through that, and you watch the role players show up and guys do what they're supposed to do on top of your superstars. Yeah, there's no reason for this Bucks team to fear the Celtics. And quite honestly, I think that matchup is very, very, very good. And I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go on a limb right now. I'm gonna go advantage Bucks in that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree at this point. The only thing, JT and Trey and I talked about this on the previous show, is how this team will gel when Giannis gets back into the lineup because. They've only played 3 games together in the Doc era, and we don't know necessarily how that will look when all 3 of those guys, really 2 ball-dominant players in Giannis and Dame, and then you bring Chris in the fold who can really score it, and he scores off the dribble. How will that look? So I'm curious to get your thoughts on that and how they're able to kind of make sure that that's on point ahead of playoff time because we only got so many games left.
Well, I mean, we do have what do we have? 13 games left in the season now. Mm-hmm. Somewhere between 12 and 13 games left. That's not many, right? And realistically speaking, I hate to say this, but I do think that we'll probably start to see some of this come together towards the end of the season and even in that first round, right? Even in that first round, still figuring this thing out. Having said that, though, I mean, Giannis, the cool thing about Giannis is if he has to, he can play garbage man and get his buckets. Right now, you don't necessarily want him solely doing that because you want to put the ball in his hands and let him do his thing with it. But Giannis 100% can be the garbage man too. He 100% can be a presence down low and in the paint and get the garbage bucket. So it's not you don't necessarily worry about it from a production standpoint. Having said that, though, I think the Dame and Chris thing, figuring those two out, right, figuring out Dame and Chris getting their chemistry, for Dame being able to instinctively figure out what Chris is doing and to be able to feed him and building that chemistry, but then also figuring out, what you're going to do with your volume shooter like Beasley, right? Like how's he going to fit into this? What's his role going to be? I mean, yes, he's going to be a spot up shooter, but are you, Beasley's going to go be what, that fourth option at best? So, these are good problems to have. This is an embarrassment, the embarrassment of riches, right? And this is something for Doc to certainly figure out. But we got shooters. We got horses. We ready to run.
Yeah, the only thing I actually worry about is just how limited time you have to prepare with these three guys actually out there in game time and actually running together. Because, look, it hasn't been all that impressive when all three of those guys are in the lineup this year, because it seems like it's just so much scoring to go around, right? And it can be tough for these guys to just take a backseat role. But I do think, JT, that Chris is a guy who's mature enough, who's been around long enough to understand, and he's already told people in the press conferences and stuff like that, that he is a guy that will be the bridge to these two superstars, and he has no problem being that third option. Let me see, did Trey get back in here or no? Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, I think we got you, but I'll get you imported here in a second. But yeah, so I just want to say, like, it is a confidence boosting loss, I guess you could say, but you also had some opportunities to really make sure that this didn't get out of hand as much as it did multiple times. JT, what did you see that just kind of allowed the Bucks to let this one get away from them?
Like Trey said, man, it was. I don't want to. Trey calls it, Trey, I'm gonna borrow your term, CTE basketball. I hate it. You just see the lapses, right? Like you're like, man, who's man? Guys kind of lollygagging. I'm seeing uninspired defense from time to time. I'm seeing shot selection. Like, what are we doing here? And I think there's just times where I don't know if it's what they call it, active rest. Is that what they getting active rest out there? I'm not really sure, right? But I think that's what I saw a few times tonight. But having said that, though, it's okay to have those moments for a few minutes at a time. You just can't have whole quarters like that, right? You can't have whole quarters or whole halves like that.
No, for sure. No, I definitely agree with that. All right, we got Trey back in here. We'll figure.
Is my audio working now?
I think
is my audio.
Yeah,
all right.
it is.
Y'all let me.
Wine, my guy.
Y'all let me know if my audio is working. I don't know. People were telling me that it was bad. It was cutting out. So, but yeah, I don't know what everybody's talking about for the last couple minutes here, but yeah, please let me know if we're working. Yeah, exactly. We have to start. We on the Stella Rosa, so you know how it is. Yeah, man. I thought, yeah. Again, we talked about it a little bit. I feel okay. I'm not upset about what happened with the Bucks at all. And again, this is one you learn from, you grow from. Doc Rivers has to grow as well. Like, there's no doubt about it. Doc Rivers has to learn and grow and continue to get better. There are just so many things that this team can clean up. I really think they can clean some things up and be a team that is ready and willing to compete with the Boston Celtics. It's funny, I was texting our guy 30 Stan Dan during the game, and this is when the games is 20 game point games, and they're getting the Boston is beating us down a little bit, and he said, this team is they're on a different level. We're not on the same level, and I don't know. I just disagree. Like because that's the thing. I see it, but I don't see there is something flawed about this Boston Celtics team. There just is. I can't all the way put my finger on it. I think it's more than just they shoot too many threes. But there is something that is flawed about this team. Are they good enough? Should they win? Should they basically win a championship? Should they get out of the East? They absolutely should. something tells me that they will not. Like that's just my gut feeling. I don't know if it will be the team that stops them, but something tells me they will not. They just have not been in enough battles to compete, in my opinion. And when they do get in those battles, I think they don't look as good as they do throughout entire points of games. Let's go to some of the Twitter stuff. At Chris_Bucks34 says not remotely afraid of the 2024 version of the 2019 Bucks. They have 2 3-point wins now, one without Giannis. I'm just praying we're healthy when they meet in May. Can see the Bucks winning in 6. At Sabaz Vasco MKE says Brook Lopez can't be played heavy minutes in the offs. I know he's not a good rebounder, but just 2 rebounds being 7-1 is ludicrous. Bucks cut the deficit when they went away from him. Giannis, Dame, Chris can win us any game against anybody. At Bucks in Philly says if Giannis is playing or Bobby has just a slightly better game, this is a dub. I leave the game feeling the same way I felt going into it, completely unafraid of the Celtics. Everybody is not afraid of them. I'll read a few more. At Adrian_K says no Gallo minutes. Please make them stop, or a bad stretch, bad turnovers away from winning. Chris looks like he hasn't missed a beat, and Dame keeps on looking more and more like Dame post All-Star break. Just need the big 3 to get some games under Doc now. And then we'll do one more here. At Light Seraph says mid to stay at this level. The Cray mid to stay at this level. We're getting to even better shape. He can tip the scales in our favor for a championship run in this form alone. Bobby has his template on how to play the Celtics or even the Heat. Just look up the second half of this game. Doc playing Bobby more in the 4th. So yeah, again, this team's got to play. They just got to continue playing hard. And playing throughout, and got to play an entire 4 quarters. Got to play an entire 48 minutes of basketball, and I think the Bucks will be okay. I want to ask you guys this: we talk about no Giannis and the injuries because and I don't think anybody thinks Giannis is ducking the Boston Celtics. Like that's not a thing. But the Bucks play again tomorrow night. Do you guys think that it would be a bad look if Giannis plays tomorrow night and he didn't play tonight?
No. Even though personally, I just wish Giannis takes both games off. I think I mean, I would prefer him to take both games off, but listen, they're trying to be precautious. I'm not. I mean, I guess it really wouldn't make a lot of sense, but I don't think it would be a terrible look.
I kind of agree with JT. I do think he should just take both games off. But it is what it is at this point. You don't want to risk any further injury, especially so close to playoff time, man. We've got through pretty much this whole season. Obviously Chris has had his troubles, but everybody else has just been pretty healthy outside of the little stretch Dame has had. So, you just want him to be prepared for the playoffs, and I get it. You're in a position to where, you're able to sit a couple games. I'll give him the grace, and, it is what it – but he was at the movies last night, so shout out to Nate Marzon.
Well, shout out to Nate Marzon. How about Nate breaking the scoop that basically that he knew that Giannis was going to play? It was clear Giannis didn't make the trip. I don't understand how the Bucks have beat reporters. I'm not going to call anybody else. I'm not going to call anybody out. There's only a few of them. So I think everybody knows the people that we're talking about here. How do they not tweet that out? How do they not know that? How do they not talk about that before the game? Hey, the beat reporters go on the team flight with the team. To my understanding, like they fly in the back and they're like on the team. They're not sitting there with the plane, but they're in the back of the plane. How do you not? Hey, Giannis didn't make it. Giannis wasn't on this trip. Giannis didn't come. I don't understand. Maybe we don't know where Giannis is. How does that not get out? How do you? I don't understand that. And how is Nate Marzon? How does Nate Marzon have better scoops than the guys that cover the freaking team? Like that. That's crazy to me. So Giannis, like you said, Giannis at the movies. I'll take a different approach though. To me, and again, I agree with you. Sit him. He should sit tomorrow because I think it's a very bad look if he plays. Again, not that we know Giannis. If it was up to him, he'd play every single game. We know that, but to me, it's the appearance. It's the appearance that you sat against Boston. Because here's the thing. If you're healthy enough to play tomorrow, that means you could have played tonight. Like I don't, and again, I think if it's a playoff situation, I think he's playing. But anyway, if you can play tomorrow, you could have played tonight. So you should hold him out tomorrow. Otherwise, not that I think he was ducking, but it's the appearance of ducking. And again, I would be hypocritical if I didn't call out Giannis for it, because I call out guys all throughout every star that ducks or that sits out and play. Like Joel Embiid did it all season, where he would play one game and next he played against the Trailblazers, then the Timberwolves come up. Nah, I'm good. I don't want them Rudy Gobert problems. And you only playing one game a week, and yeah, you get these inflated numbers because you ain't playing nobody. And so that again, I want to make it perfectly clear. I don't think Giannis is doing this, but the team clearly held him out tonight. You should hold him out tomorrow. Again, you don't have to. It is what it is. If you think he's ready to play, he's ready to play. But I think from an optics perspective, the way I look at it is, yeah, you had a primetime game against the Boston Celtics, a chance to show, and again, I know they think of, every game is just a 1 of 82, all that. I get that. But this is a primetime game against the Boston Celtics. They ran over everybody in the league so far. It would have been nice to get that some momentum of a win, or just see how you match up, whatever. And again, I don't care that he didn't play, but it's a bad look if he plays the next night. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I can see that, right? I 100% can see that, because you talk about this being a marquee matchup. You talk about this being, two heavyweight contenders, and you feel like if he plays tomorrow night, then he probably could have played tonight. But on the same note, I mean, if the team has a goal of getting him some rest, right, and there's some tightness, and they really want to manage this thing, then, yeah, I could see him, and I could see him resting tonight. And honestly, I think you're probably right. He probably should rest tomorrow too. Having said that, when did the Bucks play after that? What, Saturday? No, Bucks play the game after that, Sunday. Yeah, I mean, so if you do, so let's see. If you rest tonight, tomorrow, what, 4 days?
No, he hasn't played. He hasn't played because he sat the last game too, right? He hasn't played. Tonight would have been 6 days off. Yeah. So 7 tomorrow. If he doesn't play tomorrow, 7, 8, 9. Again, that would be a evening matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder on Sunday evening, off 10 days rest. And so I'll switch and ask you guys this: do you have any concern that, I know it's a hamstring injury, they're being cautious or whatever? Do you have any concern for Giannis that he hasn't played, that he wasn't ready for tonight, and he has been off for 6 days?
So I'm not concerned about that. Here's what I'm a little concerned about. You got a hamstring injury, right? You had an Achilles tightness a little while ago. So I'm just hoping that this is just regular wear and tear for Giannis. This is, you don't have a bigger issue, right? Is it the same leg?
I'm not sure if it's the same leg or not.
Yeah, see, that's what you start worrying about when you start having those kind of injuries in the same leg. Like, all right, like something wrong here, something overcompensating. What's going on? We got an imbalance. We got an issue, right? Is it at risk? That's where I would be concerned. But yeah, these are, as hard as he plays, as just all that pounding at some point, right? It's probably going to take its toll on you throughout a season. But I would be very concerned if it's the same leg, because then you're like, hey, wait a minute, we got some unique injuries kind of popping up here on that. What's going on here?
When am I ever concerned for Giannis? I mean, after what we saw in the finals, I could never be concerned unless it's really bad. Knock on wood. That I don't think that'll happen. But yeah, I mean, I'm not concerned with Giannis. I know he's a powerhouse of a body, and at this point, I'm okay with him sitting out a couple of games. I know that he'll be ready.
So you got a powerhouse body, okay?
Oh. Power bottom.
So, hey, yo.
Hey,
what TD Jake say, Trey?
Have you ever been swallowed up?
TD Jake's wilding, right? No context for that comment at all, man.
Oh man. Yeah. So yeah, let's do game balls. Do game balls tonight. Anybody? Where are you going with your game ball? 122, 119. Boston beats the Bucks.
I'm gonna get this thing to Bobby Portis. I'm gonna get this thing to Bobby Portis because some of us were saying in that first half, here we go, Bobby, right? Bobby didn't, and for Bobby to come out and battle like that, and give you 14 in the fourth, 22 in the second half, and have a completely different second and first, and literally say, hey, I got it. I'm gonna shoulder this. I'm gonna shoulder the weight with you, Dame. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna be that third guy to step up. Chris, everybody's doing their thing. Put this on me. Man, I really hope this guy can play in the playoffs. I do not want to see another playoff series where Bobby becomes unplayable. So I need him to keep this up with his game offensively. Tonight, he gets my game ball.
I really don't think, JT, that Bobby is no longer a non-playoff guy, especially seeing what he was able to do versus a guy like Kristaps. I mean, obviously you expect Giannis to be back if they do meet in the playoffs. So it is a situation where I'm very optimistic about what Bobby Portis is able to do. And really, if you think about it at this point, he's really the only reliable guy on our bench, I feel like. like this is the guy who comes in and plays that six-man role to the best of his ability, and he does his thing at it. And his consistency has gone up so much since All-Star break. But with my game ball, I'm going to go with Dame. Yeah, I'm going to go with Dame. 32, 6 of 10 from the three. He was good tonight, and this is what we expect when Giannis is out. I would hope that he's able to continue this kind of aggressiveness and success when Giannis gets back into the lineup. But I love seeing the aggressiveness that he comes out with when Giannis is out. Just getting to his spots and knocking down shots. That's what we traded for. That's the guy that we need for this Bucks team. That's the kind of scoring point guard we need. And he did a good job tonight. They just came up short. It is what it is.
You know me. You got to win to get in for me. So the game ball tonight goes on the other side. I hate to do it, but I'm gonna go with Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard, 19.6 boards, 3 assists. I thought that Peyton Pritchard had some timely buckets. He came in, did some really good things for the Celtics tonight, and just really he hit so many shots again. Efficient, 7 for 11, 5 of 8 from 3. Really, I would have went with either him or Derek White, who I thought was also really good, 8 of 17, 4 11 3. But I'm gonna go Peyton Pritchard for my game ball. Let's look around the league. Right now, the Clippers are up 10 on the Blazers. The Suns up 13 over the Philadelphia 76ers. The Warriors are beating the Grizzlies by 10 at the half. Pacers beat the Pistons 122-103. The Heat were up on Cleveland for a large portion of the game, but Cleveland made a good run at it. Good for the Bucks that Cleveland did lose. The Bucks are right now, let's see, still a full game ahead of Cleveland in the standings for that second spot. Kings beat the Raptors. And the Thunder beat the Utah Jazz tonight. Big game from Chet Holmgren tonight. As well, 35 and 14 for Chet. I still wonder. I mean, I'm assuming that Wemby's going to win Rookie of the Year, but Chet is doing a really good job, and he's doing it on a winning team. So it'll be interesting to see how the voters kind of play that. One guy playing Wemby is, to me, he's the best rookie. But Chet is playing in more meaningful, impactful games. Those two should definitely be 1-2. I probably would give the edge to Wemby, but you can't disregard what Chet Holmgren is doing right now. Really, his second season, but his first season actually playing. Real quick before we get out of here, I think are we gonna be off tomorrow, right? Turning, yes. Okay, so we'll be off tomorrow. Say we have these production meetings in the middle of the show. We'll be off tomorrow, so no show after the Brooklyn Nets. All watching the NCAA tourney.
Yes,
fellas.
Sir.
I'll throw it over to you, Chris. Give us a quick analysis of what you're going to see or what we should be looking for in the NCAA tournament.
In the opening round, sir. Give us the opening round. It's too hard to talk about a deep dive analysis of the tournament right now because, tell us what you see.
Yeah, I mean, I get ready. I prepare for this. This is the best time in college basketball, really. And honestly, all bias. This is 100% bias. But I think March basketball and college basketball is way better than the NBA.
Okay.
And we've already seen that in terms of the first four. Virginia game, throw that out the window. But the HBCUs with Howard, what a game that was. They almost had a comeback, and that would have been electric if they were able to win that game. Unfortunately, fell short. Sorry, Trey. Grambling State tonight. during the Bucks game, literally it was halftime. It was almost halftime of the Bucks game, and I saw that it was a close game. I flipped that channel, dog. I flipped that. I flipped over to HBCU Max or HBCU Max, HBO Max, and I saw an overtime game. Grambling State beat Montana State, and it was an overtime game. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. But tomorrow in the first round, there's some great games, some great matchups. I think Michigan State, Mississippi State is going to be a good one. Even though people thought Michigan State wouldn't be a tournament team, they had a 19-14 record. It's crazy that they were able to get in, but that's going to be a good one. Dayton, Nevada, as biased as I am, I do think that's a really good matchup because people are saying Dayton is overseeded and Nevada's underseeded. So that 7-10 matchup will be good at 4:30. I'll be tuned in. That'll be a good one. And then, all across the board, Long Beach State, Arizona, JT, maybe Dayton, Arizona, second-round matchup. That'll be dope. But
Maybe so.
But Long Beach State, Arizona has really underperformed in the past couple of tournaments, so they're going to be looking for blood. They're going to be showing what they can do. Caleb Love is a dog. I'll give it to him. Look, Umar Bala.
Didn't Long Beach State fire their coach and now that man coaching in the tournament?
Yep, they did that.
Listen, right? At some point, the chaos is like, I don't understand this one. This is an absolute mess. I expect that team to come out and fight with everything they got, and I expect them not to have anywhere near enough juice to take down the Arizona Wildcats. We bear it down tomorrow. Let's go.
No, this is what we're hoping that Dayton and Arizona meet in the second round. Look, it'll be some good. Cream City crossover analysis.
What I tell you, listen. I will bet you, and all of our listeners can hear this. I bet you $100 that Arizona beats Dayton, and if I win, you don't have to give me anything. And if Dayton wins, I got to give you $100. It's the most arrogant thing you can do. A one-sided bet. I'm rolling with the Wildcats. Let's go.
I'm accepting that bet 100%. It is 100%. Look, we did pretty much a virtual shake here on the Cream City crossover.
100%.
But some other matchups. Colorado State, we just saw them rout Virginia. They played Texas. I think they can win that matchup. Colorado State is really good. The Mountain West got 6 teams in the NCAA tournament, so I think that'll be a good one to watch as well. That starts at 6:50. Oakland and Kentucky. Now, Oakland has been talking spicy in the media. Oakland is a 14 seed out of the Horizon League, beat UW Milwaukee in the championship. And their players are talking about, we scheduled a ton of non-conference powerhouses to where, they're not that impressive. I think we shoot the 3 ball better than them. So this is a good one to keep your eye on. 14-3 matchup, 7-10. Oakland and Kentucky. Keep an eye on that. 12-5 McNeese State versus Gonzaga. That's going to be a good one as well. Everybody talks about the 12-5 upsets. And McNeese State, coached by Will Wade, who has had success at the Power 5 level when he was coaching LSU. He started at VCU. That's a great coach. Yeah,
Slick Willie at McNeese State.
Yeah,
Will Wade was
NCAA
games on.
Yeah, the NCAA put the hammer on him. He had like 5 NCAA violations they said he committed. But yeah, and then the game I'm really looking forward to the most is NC State Texas Tech, 11-6. That's at 9:40. That'll be a good one because NC State coming off of a big ACC tournament win. They weren't even going to make the tournament had they not beat North Carolina in that championship. DJ Burns, just an offensive lineman out there as a center.
Man, that boy big, ain't he? That boy big.
He's huge. And they got all right, chill. They got hot at the right time, right? Like DJ Burns, DJ Horn, their guard. Like that is a team that could really make a run. They play a Texas Tech team out of the Big 12 who got 8 teams in the NCAA tournament. So that'll be fun to watch. And then Drake, Washington State to end it. Kansas, Sanford. Look, Kansas just took a big blow. Kevin McCullers out for the tournament. One of their best small forwards is not playing. Hunter Dickinson just dislocated his shoulder. They had to fix him up. He'll play, but that's another upset that could potentially happen. So I am looking forward to this whole tournament, but the first day is really loaded with great matchups. Me personally, I don't know about you guys, but me personally, who I think will win this tournament, I think it's Houston. I think Kelvin Sampson finally lives up to the hype. I saw them play in November versus Dayton. I've watched them throughout the season. They put up a stinker in that Big 12 championship, got blown out by Iowa State, but I just think that their guards didn't shoot the ball as well as they should have. But this team is just so deep and so well rounded that I think that they're my number one pick to win it all. So I'm excited. It'll be a fun weekend, and hopefully my Dayton Flyers get to face off with JT's Arizona Wildcats and get to a Sweet 16.
So what happened to Houston in the conference championship game?
I think their guards just played bad. It just is what
it was a
You
little
can't
more
make
than that.
shot.
They got
It is
that
what it
belt to ass. Golly, they got that belt to ass in that championship game. And like, listen, this is the best time. You need to be playing your best basketball at this time of year, right? Some teams believe you're only as good as your last performance. And if I'm Houston, boy, they got to bring it tomorrow night because I'm not convinced that Houston can't be a second round exit too. And that's the thing about this year's tournament. It's like
They lost 4 games, JT. They played poorly versus Iowa State, but they can win the NCAA tournament. They're that good.
Well, there's a whole lot of teams that can win the NCAA tournament. There's a whole lot of teams that can have that early exit and disappoint you
Jamal
too.
Shead been there for like 8 years. He should at least have that experience to get out of that first round.
I feel you, but name 2 teams that can win the NCAA tournament that didn't stink it up in the conference tournament.
All right, so we'll go Houston, who did it.
Houston stunk it up though.
Oh yeah, no. All right, so 2 other
did
teams
not stink it up in the conference tournament.
2 other teams. Okay, that did not.
Yes, two NCAA 2 teams that had the potential to win an NCAA championship did not completely stink it up in the conference tournament.
Okay, Carolina,
Carolina did stink it up.
They just lost the games. I'm stinking it up in the conference and the
I would say,
finals.
all right, I would say I would say Iowa State. I do think they have the potential to win it. Otzelberger is a good coach. But I think also you just think about UConn and what they were able to do in the Big East, just beat everybody. That they're just that good at this point. So I'd say that.
I'd say UConn is probably, to me, it seems like UConn is probably your safest bet at this point, based off of what you've seen previously. Mm-hmm. I mean, because I can't trust Carolina. They couldn't figure this shit. I can't trust Arizona. Can't trust Houston, right? Can't trust Purdue. I mean, I just think that looking at the past performance, look at these teams get out there. You just hope. Okay, come championship time, they can still remember that magic that led the team to win, to lose only 4 games or 5 games or 6 games. So this is competitive balance is for real this year in college basketball.
For sure, I think this is going to be a tournament where you see a ton of maybe it's not even double-digit seeds in the Elite 8, Final 4, but I do think that this first round is going to be nuts. Like, there's a ton of games, and I've watched college basketball all year, that you just have a difficult time picking. You think about Oregon, South Carolina. South Carolina has beat a ton of good teams. Oregon just comes off, and they're hot. They beat the Pac-12, everybody in the Pac-12 to win that championship. Like, it's games like those to where, you have to imagine that this year is going to be different in terms of all these upsets are going to happen first round. And it's honestly, to me, it's just expected at this point. Like, these are a ton of great teams, great matchups. I think the committee did a good job in selecting their matchups. The ones I worry about for sure, if you want to talk about the Wisconsin game, they're playing a James Madison team that's really damn good. Like, obviously they really don't play in a tough conference, but they can give Wisconsin some fits. Marquette, they're going to have to be able to get out of that region that they're in. So it's like, there's a ton of parity now, and there's a ton of teams that can make a run. It's very unknown and unexpected. I'm excited. There's going to be a lot of good games for sure.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens in the tourney. Of course, every single year. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. Shout out to Pat Kelsey and the College of Charleston. Watch out for them boys and watch out for them.
They're gonna lose.
Huh?
They're gonna lose. They're gonna lose.
Watch my dog. Don't sleep on my man Pat. Don't sleep on my dog Pat Kelsey.
Yeah, Charleston normally they're good, dog, but I'm telling you they're gonna lose.
Don't sleep on my dog Pat Kelsey, and don't sleep on Sanford either. Sleep on Sanford out here. In Kansas.
Kansas beats them.
Don't sleep. All right, man. Well, again, the Bucks lose it tonight, 122-119. Any final words after a close, hard fought loss to the Boston Celtics tonight for the Milwaukee Bucks?
Man, looking forward to seeing these boys fire on all cylinders. Right, I'm not that worried about tonight. Glad to see these boys fight and seeing good things. And at this point, we got nothing to be scared of in the East. We just got to play our game, get everybody healthy, play our game.
Yeah, it was good to see them at least try to get back into the game multiple times after Boston made some runs. It is a game of runs, but they held their own, especially without Giannis, and it was exciting to see. And then so you go take care of the Nets tomorrow, and everything's fine. We'll see what happens with Giannis, but I am optimistic about this team. Tonight gives me the confidence that this East is open for the Bucks to just take it. And so, yeah, I'm glad that they gave that performance, that effort, especially on the road as well. Like, it gives you some confidence, even though you did come out on the losing end. And then last thing I'll say, the Dayton Flyers, man, Deron Holmes going to make a name for himself. Kobe Brea, the best three-point shooter in terms of percentage-wise in the country in college basketball. He's going to make a name for himself as well. And I think Dayton takes care of Nevada tomorrow, and then we'll be back for whenever the Arizona and Dayton matchup is to blitz Arizona and send them home crying and packing.
We will see how that goes, and hopefully
then Chris wakes up and realizes his team is back home, back on a flight in Dayton, get folks tapping them up when they walk into the airport. Good job, guys. Way to fight. Good night. There's levels to this shit.
Nah, I don't think this is gonna happen. Look,
I'm hoping. Listen, I'm hoping y'all get to Arizona. You're doing a lot of talking, Chris. I'm hoping.
No,
y'all,
I know.
I'm
not concerned about Nevada at all. I think. Okay, well, let's talk about this. I think the Mountain West. All right, you want to hear my thoughts? I think the Mountain West is gravely overrated. I think that they play each other. They just beat up on each other, and then it props them up because they have San Diego State, who wins good non-conference games. Everybody else, Nevada lost to Drake by 19. Come on now, we're putting up a better fight versus Drake.
Right.
Drake is in the NCAA tournament, but you get blown out by Drake, you have no will to beat Dayton. Come on now, we're better program than Drake. We've got the guys who can defend, who can shoot the three, and Nevada struggles versus big men, and Deron Holmes is one of the best in the country. Second team All-American, by the way. Shout out to that man. But look, we're gonna face Arizona, and we're gonna beat that ass.
Right. Listen, we've heard it. We've heard the battle cries, and we're gonna see exactly what happens. What comes out of them.
Chris think they playing badminton. All right, yeah, maybe this is that. Basketball, that ain't gonna happen. But okay, I got you, Chris.
Let's.
Do you think, brother? Do you think?
He said they're gonna settle this on the court.